And we start off in Nigeria, where it may seem that the Academic Staff Union of Universities, that's ASUU, will embark on industrial action after the federal government failed to meet the demands of the union. Now, the union waited until midnight yesterday for the federal government to meet its demands or risk the union embarking on another round of strike.
Meanwhile, though, the national president's Nigeria Civil Service Union, Lawrence Amechi, has threatened that Nigerian workers may embark on sympathy strike with university teachers if the federal government, through its attitude, in his own words, should allow them to embark on another industrial action. Now, we have joined us this morning National Executive Committee member of ASUU and the chairman of the University of Lagos as UNILAG chapter, Dr. Dele Ashiru. Dr. Dele, good morning. Welcome to Breakfast Central. Let's start from the very beginning. Your union gave the federal government till last night to meet your demands or risk strike action. Was the deadline met? And if no, what next?
Well, good morning and thank you for this invitation. As it stands, the deadline is yet, the demands are yet to be met, even after the deadline set by our union. Indeed, it was government that told us that by 31st of August, they were going to look into the core demands of our union and accede to them in line with the memorandum of action that we signed with federal government when the last strike was suspended. Up till as I'm speaking to you, I can confirm to you that the federal government is yet to fulfill all the agreements it reached with our union.
Right. Now, Dr. Dele, talking about the demands from ASUU, demands to ASUU from the federal government, what are these demands of ASUU from the federal government now?
Well, as you may be aware, in 2009, we signed an agreement with government. That agreement bordered on funding for revitalization of the university system, conditions of service, university autonomy, and other matters related to it. Between 2009 and today, we have embarked on a series of strike action in order to get government to implement this agreement. For example, when we talk about funding for revitalization of education, what we are simply saying is that government needs to inject money into the university system so that our universities will be globally competitive. Oftentimes, we were told that Nigerian universities graduates are not employable, even though that is being contested and is contestable. The fact remains that what we have as universities in Nigeria is a far cry from what is obtained even on the average on the continent. The other point is the conditions of service of those who work in the university system. As I speak with you today, no Nigerian university professor earns beyond 416,000 naira in a month. And that is a professor at bar. If we seek to retain the best brains in the university, the remuneration and the allowances they get are those pegs that will keep them in the system. We agreed in the 2009 agreement that agreement will be renegotiated every 3 years. Between 2009 and today, we have struggled to get government to renegotiate the agreement.
All right.
Even today, despite the fact that the government team and our union had agreed on some renegotiated terms.
All right, Dr. Dele. Now, since the inception of democratic rule in Nigeria, that's since 1999 to be more specific, ASUU itself has embarked on strike a record 14 times. Now, this constant striking surely must have a negative impact on the education system in its entirety. What's your take on that, Dr. Dele? All right, so we were just speaking with Dr. Dele Ashiru, who is a committee member of ASUU, chairman UNILAG chapter. So he was giving us his own take as regards the non-meeting of the deadline as at last night. So it looks like ASUU are set to embark and get another strike. We were just talking about asking about the record 14 strikes since 1999. Do we have Dr. Dele back? Dr. Dele, are you still there with us?
Yes, I am. I am back.
All right. I was asking about since 1999, ASUU has embarked on a record 14 record times they've striked. You know, the constant striking surely is still having a negative impact in the education sector, tertiary education sector specifically.
Well, it may not be absolutely correct to say that the strikes have had negative impact on tertiary education in Nigeria. In my view, to the contrary. But for those strikes, we probably will not have what is called a public university system in Nigeria. Bear in mind that we have a ruling elite whose priority is not the well-being of the citizens of the country. Because if it were not to be so, if a group of people had constantly gone on strike for 14 times in a period, what that simply tells you is that you are dealing with a recalcitrant system who will not yield to agreements that they have freely made. A parallel that can be drawn from our struggle is that of doctors in Nigeria. You sign an agreement, you will not implement, not only with ASUU. Tell me one single obligation of government that have been met in recent time. And the audacious nature of those who rule us in dealing with citizens with contempt is unparalleled. You can't find that anywhere in the world. So I think that Nigerian people should rise up to demand, responsibility from government. Because whether we like it or not, it is the business of government to educate its citizens. And Nigerian government cannot shy away from that.
Right. Now, Dr. Dele, a series of strike action has cost the average Nigerian student 274 days with nothing to show for it in the last strike action that happened in 2020. What other effective methods are available for these demands to be met by the federal government aside from strike action?
Well, we have thrown that challenge. As intellectuals, we have asked ourselves that same question. And each time we try, to discuss, to meet, write letters, send emissaries, lobby, for a government to simply fulfill, an agreement that you signed, implement an agreement that you freely entered into. And our union had also insisted that if we are finding it difficult, to implement the agreement, why not let us sit down and look at the gray areas and proffer solutions in order to make them implementable. I tell you that government is deliberately refusing, to accede to the demands in the education sector. Well, we have also thrown the challenge to the intellectuals in Nigeria beyond the academia. If they feel that there are other ways other than strike, we are open, we are receptive to such ideas. But what I know is that you would bear with me that we have been drumming to the ears of government and Nigerians that if government refuses to accede to our demands, we will go on strike. Nobody is talking to ASUU now. But I can tell you that if we declare a strike action tomorrow, we will be invited to a meeting that same tomorrow. So I think that it is government's unwillingness, to be responsible that is accounting for the series of strikes. And I tell you, the only language this government or governments in Nigeria understand is the language of strike.
Really?
Dr. Dele, the union has also accused the federal government of buck passing, the blames, talking about the bureaucracy in getting money from the CBN. I wonder what you make of that.
Well, that's for being laughable, because the CBN belongs to government, and indeed is the government's bank. So if government is complaining that it can't get money from its own bureaucracy, then it tells you the kind of government that we are running. It tells you the kind of system that Nigeria is running.
All right, Dr. Dele Ashiru, yes, member committee of ASUU and also Lagos University, that's UNILAG chapter chairman. Thank you so much for coming on the program Breakfast Essential. We really appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you for this invitation. I am indeed grateful. Please prevail on federal government to do what is right, to save the Nigerian university system from another unnecessary strike action. Thank you.
Well said. Right, you're still watching Breakfast Central. More top stories up next.